Welcome, Sazan. Awakenings take place when one is relieved from the grip of the familiar, ordinary sense of self. Then you get to have a glimpse or an experience of something much vaster than what it is that you're used to as your familiar ways of being confined to this mind-body functioning. You may call it awakenings, even enlightenment. But that in and of themselves is not is not what we call the embodiment of the true self. These are just stepping stones in the way. And because they are just stepping stones, they can become a way for the sense of I attached to this mind body to give itself a sense of importance that it didn't have before, as it can create a greater possibility for the sense of self to further blind itself from being able to go deep within and understand about all the strategies that the mind bring about in this quest to sabotage itself along the way. So in that regard, it's not the awakenings or the enlightenment itself that is the most important thing. Most important thing is the being honest with oneself. Factually, totally. In a way that you do not leave the very being that lies at the heart of yourself. In a way that your heart stays pure. In a way that because of this steadfast resting in your core honesty, your sense of separate self comes to be purified from the field of your experience of yourself. So embodiment of the truth is more a matter of how much you can rest in the purity of yourself or not. For it is the truth of yourself that comes to fill up your being in a way that it cannot happen otherwise. Meaning you yourself as the separate self cannot strive to achieve that, cannot seek awakenings nor enlightenment as such. For in truth, enlightenment as it really is, there is no longer any sense of personal self remaining. Therefore, no experience left. Although as you stay put in your beingness, in the purity of such beingness, your life comes to be infused by such higher qualities inherent to the truth of being. So yes, there remains some levels of experiencing, but not from a place of separation. As an I, which means stand separated from the one I, the I of the Supreme. But experiences that are witnessed out of a place of union, of complete merging with the truth of oneself as the greater I, as the Supreme I. So as much as one can remain in the purity of one's heart, as the truth of oneself, as much as there is a possibility for the greater I to fill you up with itself. Itself the only reality from the start, for it is itself which created these opportunities to experience itself in an individuated way through diversities, through the infinity of diversities that take place in itself. So it is a part of itself which comes to be filtered through this mind body, rising as this separate sense of self, which in return seeks its union back with itself as a whole. Embodiment of truth is really whether one can stabilize oneself within the heart of one's being and be honest about it. That is the most important thing. It is not the seeking of enlightenment or awakenings. These are windows. When it is revealed that all there is in your experience is the reality of the oneself alone, then there remains only that, which is beyond awakenings, beyond enlightenment.
For me, the hardest part is staying steadfast in the purity of my being. It's very uncomfortable. In the last couple of years, it's become unbearable to be me, to stay in my heart.
It's because what's happening is we get used to functioning within the structure of the separate self, which gives us an illusion of security and comfort, which keeps us from even looking inside and really realizing what it is that we are made of, all based on insecurities, fear, projection, conditioning, anger, anxieties, and so on. So holding on to what it is that you know gives you a sense of false security. And once you start living out of a place of the heart, you come to feel throughout your whole system, mind, body, emotional body, physical body, that what it is that you have been is illusion. Therefore, experiencing the lost, which in and of itself is disconcerting, which in and of itself brings out all these fears and insecurity. which is an inevitable step. You must witness the falling down of your false self in order to rise as the truth that you are. So your insecurity, relation with being yourself as you are, your insecurity is tied in with the remainings of you, of who you've taken yourself to be, along with the resistance to let that go. For you, it represents security. Everything else is the unknown. So there is a inevitable period of great insecurity and loneliness that you have to face. But then again, as much as you can stay put in the heart of your being, as much as you can factually experience and find out for yourself that this is where your peace lies, your security lies, your comfort, real comfort. In fact, it's not a comforting place, it is a place of truth in and of itself, the well-being that you've always longed for. But until this becomes your truth, in the sense that there's a melting down of everything yourself, you will have to go through times of instability, which may appear as if you're moving backward. As the Beatles say, it is easier to live with eyes closed. Once you start opening your eyes, you start seeing that you may be much more vulnerable than you thought you were. And in fact, you must embrace that vulnerability in order to go beyond yourself, in order for the truth of yourself to take over. But regardless, in truth you don't decide. It comes to you and will make you go there. Somewhere in you will know that you cannot go backward, that you must keep facing the breaking down of your false identity in order for the true identity to take over, keeping you in the silence, the stillness, the unknown that it is about, in relation with mind, for itself as the knowledge that this is how it should be. So when you go through the experiencing of the crumbling down of your false identity, take time to relax, stay with it. Stay with those feelings of insecurity, of fear and loneliness. Stay with them, breathe through them, invite them in your being and the truth of yourself. As little you may know of the truth of yourself, stay put with that. Sit in that and invite those feelings, those fears, those insecurity, because only then, when you truly embrace them all as they are, will you find out for yourself that you've become one with the truth of yourself. For the truth of yourself invites everything as it is. For the truth of yourself is not outside it. Everything of what your so-called self is about. It is within. And you will find the true self when you will find out for yourself that you are capable to accept, to see yourself as you are, and to see that you are capable of being there for yourself when experiencing those insecurities, those fears, so on. But they're only problematic when you resist them. It's like having the fear. And then your instinctual response is to turn your attention away from it. When that conflicting emotion operate or psychological state operate. So you must bring that into your heart, into the little bit of truth that you know for yourself, and meet them there, invite them home. Only then will you master them. Only then will you become the master of your life, because you have become one with the master, which is not afraid of anything, which is not afraid of that which has never existed other than itself. Start with all your anxieties, projections, attachment, desire are alien to yourself. Fullness of yourself that you're really all about. So embrace them. It's within yourself. Therefore, everything that gives you an illusion of separation, you meet it. You face it. Therefore, you become there for yourself. You filled up your cup with the truth of yourself. It's transforming your experience. But don't be concerned about tomorrow. Don't be concerned about when you will reach that place. For that very place of truth is here and now. Be concerned about that now, not about any ideas of what it is. Because then what are you doing? Who is there having these ideas? Who is it? Not yourself. So you must watch that. You must pay attention to that. Ask yourself, who is concerned about these things? Who is concerned about healing oneself? About someday reaching this place of embodiment of truth? It's not the truth of yourself. It's your mind. It has its place as we're using the mind right now to point at things. But the moment you recognize that this is mind projection, bringing time into a reality as if time had any reality other than within the mind. No reality of time outside the mind other than relative time, physical, chronological time. Yes, sure enough. But in terms of seeing yourself, becoming one with the truth of yourself, that's a different matter. Yes, there may come a time where you come to be one with the realization of who you truly are. But that will be a result of how much you've lived that way, moment by moment. So that's why I'm saying that forget about awakenings, enlightenment. Be there with the little bit of truth that you know for yourself in the moment, regardless of what's taking place in your experience. Don't wait for greater circumstances. Don't think that because right now things are not going as well, that it prevents you from tapping into the truth of yourself. There are no excuses whatsoever. For it is you who concentrate on certain thoughts regarding your external circumstance. It is you who chooses to react a certain way. You can just as easily use this present circumstance, whatever external circumstance there is, as a hand to look within, to see whether you are connected with that little bit of truth that you know for yourself, here and now. So don't wait for any so-called greater circumstances. It has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with being poor or rich, whether you have a girlfriend or no girlfriend, partner, whatever. Whatever is going on in the world has nothing to do with that.
Maybe you'll answer it in another way. It seems that it's hard to, the hardest part of staying with the truth that I know in this moment is that everything feels unsatisfactory, feels like it's not good enough. It's not necessarily words in my mind, it's a feeling. It's just like everything sucks. It's not good enough. And I know it's not permanent like that, it comes and goes, but it's always kind of in the background. In the last couple of years, it's been like this.
And how have you been dealing with it? Have you been struggling with it?
Yeah, been avoiding it.
Avoiding it?
Yeah,
Scared of it?
frightened. Yeah.
So why don't you bring it into your heart?
Yeah, other option,
Which other option?
bringing it in.
You have no choice.
Maybe that's why I'm here tonight. Because I know that there's no choice.
Like an animal, a wild animal walking around that you've been scared of. How hard is it to sit, to let it come to you? to remove all ideas of how frightening it is to do it or to meet it, or what it may or may not do, or and so on. Just to sit, let it come to you without saying anything about it.
I sit quietly, I meditate every day.
With it.
Where I am that moment, but it's the mind has habits to avoid deep habits.
Because the one who acts in one way or another towards whatever it perceives is not apart from it. It creates it. It is it. The one who has judgment about something in oneself is the one who created it in that way to start with. That's why it is in struggle with it. And because it is behaving in such a manner of judging, it is maintaining it. It is pushing it back, further back, while being under its control, while being a victim of it, victim of such unconscious state or sensation. We're experiencing it on whatever level. The moment you start feeling a sense of contraction in those manners, you bring it into that little bit of truth that you know. Don't even try to change them. For the one who tries to change them is it. What happens when there's no longer any wanting to change any feeling, thought, sensation?
It's pretty happy.
So suffering is not what propels one to look for enlightenment. Suffering is an opportunity for your true nature to truly, fully experience itself as everything, as the whole of existence, so that it may find oneness with everything. So the realization of one's true nature is not something to look outside at all, but inside. Then and only then will you find what embodiment of truth really means. When you can navigate through suffering, to all these unpredictable movements of life, as thoughts, emotions, sensations, as the crumbling down of everything you have assumed to be, and whatnot. When you become at ease with that process, then you know that the truth of yourself has started to overflow your existence. When your natural response is to invite everything as it is, even the lowest of yourself, then you will know that some work are in progress. Your sense of self is defined by the patterns that comes back and back and back in the loop.
Mm-hmm.
Every time it manifests itself on whatever level, whether it's on the level of your thoughts, your emotions, or your sensation, remind yourself of bringing it into the little bit of truth within yourself. Opportunity for truth to overflow your existence. That is love. Also, as much as we take ourselves to be this separate self, as much as we look for love outside of ourselves, relationships, so we can have an occasion, indirect occasion to look at oneself, even though somewhere in our superficial mind we look for something that will makes us feel happy or full. What it really means is that we are looking for an opportunity to force us to go within. Hence the tribulation found in relationships. There is a shortcut. The truth of yourself is not concerned about what it is that is going on in your life, this level of individuality, for it is itself, everything. What matters in your experience is to stay put with a little bit of truth that you know for yourself. With the non-existence of everything is one way the truth. Truly, everything is non-existent. Everything is truth. So everything approach and receive and embrace in that regard. No longer either in denial of whatever that may be going on within yourself, as you have the ability to meet suffering face to face. Thing of feeling loneliness sometimes, or even feeling like finding a partner. Most of it is an attempt not to meet yourself as you are, a resistance to know for yourself that you are yourself, the love you're looking for. Because when you meet love, true love within, it keeps you in a place of total vulnerability, where you come to feel everything in yourself. All the while meeting all these so-called demons inside. So we rather think that love is something outside it all, as a way to escape that, than to meet the love that is inherent to your own self, out of which you become so open, so vulnerable, that everything comes out, breaking down everything. Of everything that has created this illusion of continuity, permanence, self-importance, that have maintained all these reasons to hold on to some past memories in order to face the fact that you yourself has created it all as an attempt to resist that love. So love within is the love of all. It's the complete realization, integration, fusion with everything and nothing as your own self. And if there's nothing out there that is not you, then what would you be missing? Even if you devote yourself to the task of knowing yourself as the truth that you are, it doesn't mean that your life becomes easier from that time on. Life will be more difficult because you have to witness the crumbling down of everything you've assumed to be. And yet, yes, the opportunity to sit in that little bit of truth within remains, no matter what takes place in your experience, whether you're alone or not alone, whether things are going well or not, makes no difference. The light of that reality. If you sink in, let's say you're going through a moment of loneliness, you take that opportunity to stay put with the truth within. As much as you're clear about it, honest about it, truly honest, as much as you will witness a change in the way you feel. For certain, no doubt about it. Experience with it. And then if it comes your way and you go in your mind and you repeat these stories, these resistance, these negative thoughts and so on out of that experience, then you think about being in touch with your truth in relation to these negative energies, then you're not there yet. You're not experiencing it yet. You must dive in entirely, melt within the heart of yourself in order to meet that little bit of truth. For this truth to infuse itself into your experience, thereby transforming it. Itself transforming it. Nothing you yourself can do to help that other than going within, meeting that little bit of truth and knowing of the heart of yourself. You do that for sure. You will know what I'm talking about. But yes, the mind is the starting point in terms of reminding yourself of being here now. That's as far as it can go. What happens then? What happens is that the attention of mind that is outside oneself, focusing on ideas or on things that you've understood or experienced somehow in relation to whatever we're talking about, this attention turns within at that moment of inner instant reminder. So as it turns within, then you dive within at that very moment, meeting the truth, that little bit of truth that you know, out of which a door opens, opening up the gate of the river, the sacredness of your core of truth to overflow, take control of everything you think, feel, sense. You are the gatekeeper. So this very life purpose is to serve the truth. That's the whole purpose. The truth will allow this individuality to become whole, out of which consciousness has accomplished its purpose. Also. So as much as you serve that, as much as that will take care of you, will take care of your life. And here, life, I'm not simply talking about your externalities. Forget about that. Think well-being, how you are in peace within, with yourself. You are in peace with yourself, you are in peace with everything. That's a radical thought that just came through my mind. For some reason, I was thinking of something that the Christ said on the cross before he died. When he felt that he had been abandoned, and then added something like, but if so is your will, then may your will be so. And you find peace in that, ready to go, to die. So within extreme condition, you can stick with a little bit of truth within. That is the well-being you are looking for. Nothing else. The well-being the love, the truth. As a reminder, if you do in that moment stay put in your truth, then there's no longer resistance offered to the other person. So the person comes to a place of not needing to protect itself. So necessarily it must have an effect, indirectly or directly. And it's not about what you say or not. To stay put in the bits of truth that you know. And trust that. A good trick too. Let's say you find yourself looking for a relationship or thinking about it. Ask yourself, what are you looking for exactly? What does that represent? No? Bring questioning, inquiry into it. And it all has to do with yourself. The well-being, the love that is within yourself.
I know.
What is true in whatever experience is the consistency, the permanence of that love. Everything else are mind propensities that can be burned just like that. If only you are honest enough to what's going on.